Rouse's Markets is voted best grocery store in New Orleans, best grocery store in Baton Rouge, Mississippi, Gulf Coast, Thibodeau, Houma, Hammond, Lake Charles, Mobile, year after year. Thank you for choosing us best grocery store on the Gulf Coast. Number one. Thank you.
Thank you.
The number one grocery store
In Mississippi, Alabama,
Louisiana. 1 million customers a week can't be wrong. Welcome to Rouse's.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. I'm your host, Keith Weissite, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Thank you for joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it very, very much. And you know, as we look at life and how life changes, there are always some really good things when we see that we're moving forward or moving over or getting some new roles. As we welcome in someone into their new role, first time here on the program, we welcome in Trooper Tia Larvadain. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, the new Public Information Officer over with Troop C, and now the former Public Information Officer, Sergeant Ross Brennan. Thanks for joining us, Ross.
Yeah, always glad to be here.
We appreciate it. So congratulations to both of you on your new roles. We've talked with Ross a little bit about that. But Tia, let's let the people get to know you a little bit about your history and your story. Tell us where you've come from and how you got here.
Okay, so originally raised in Napoleonville, Louisiana.
Okay.
Graduated from Assumption High School. After high school, I went to college in Lafayette, University of Louisiana Lafayette, majored in criminal justice. During my last semester in college, I did an internship at the State Police Training Academy. During that internship, I actually applied to State Police and got in.
Wow.
Went through the academy. Started here in Troop C. I did some time on the road. After I did my time on the road, I transferred to our bureau. Went to criminal investigations, criminal intelligence for a little while.
Wow.
I actually covered some of Baton Rouge, went to New Orleans, and still here in Houma. After that, I transferred to our professional standards and compliance section in Baton Rouge, and I'm glad to be back here in public affairs, home at Troop C.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you for your journey. What was it maybe in your last semester there at UL, which is pretty hard to do, to go to one of the top 5 partying schools in the country and study criminal justice?
Right.
Just kidding. That way you hold people accountable. But that last semester, what was it about Troop C? Did you kind of have that feeling when you wanted to do that internship about Troop C?
So all through college, I knew that I wanted to get into law enforcement.
Right.
Why not go with State Police?
Sure.
And so when I applied to State Police, of course, I applied to the home troop. Of course, Troop C covers Napoleonville.
Right.
So I grew up seeing these troopers all around, and I wanted to make that impact to the kids and the people in the area of the Troop C area, give back to where I came from, make the roads, everything safer, and to be able to put my footprint on it.
Wow, and congratulations on getting in.
Yes, sir.
I mean, listen, I know what it's like. I've got friends who are in law enforcement for years who really try to get in. For you to be able to apply and get in, that says that they knew what they were getting. And so congratulations on that. Very cool. We look forward to a long-time relationship here with you, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because we get to see all 3 of those.
Absolutely.
And so congratulations once again.
Thank you.
All right. So Sergeant, tell us a little bit about how things have changed for you now with a little bit more windshield time.
So, of course, my area that I'm covering is Troop C area in the Houma area, but also the Lafayette Troop and the Lake Charles Troop. So it's a big area, but it's overseeing the PIOs. But Tia is going to do really great for this area, kind of showing her the ropes and what to do and things like that. So I'm excited for the future. Yeah,
very nice. And so one of those things, speaking of the area and the way in which you guys keep everyone safe, the way in which y'all are able to do that is by holding people accountable. We talk about the issue with drinking and driving all the time. We challenge people to make better decisions about that, and yet we had one just recently come up, huh?
Most definitely, yeah, even last night.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so last night we had a trooper traveling on LA 24 North near St. Patrick Bridge, and he observed the vehicle coming at him in the wrong direction. He activated his lights and his sirens and attempt to stop the vehicle that was traveling towards him in the wrong direction. The vehicle did not stop and ended up hitting him head on on 24 North. The driver, Deke Madison, was identified. He showed signs of impairment and was actually arrested for DWI. He submitted a breath sample that was over the legal limit.
Okay.
He was booked into Terrebonne on 4 charges,
Okay.
DWI, vehicular negligent injuring, no driver's license, and driving on the wrong side of the road. The trooper that was involved had minor injuries and was transported to a local hospital for treatment. And we just want to take this time to remind people that alcohol and drugs can impair your judgment and driving abilities, making it unsafe for others on the roadway. Fortunately, last night we were able to stop an impaired driver before he could cause a serious crash or seriously injure anyone else on the roadway.
Yeah, how fortuitous that we have a trooper heading that way, being able to see someone coming in the wrong direction, alert them, lights, sirens, and the impairment of that driver really echoes the point that you make. It can truly make a difference. Imagine if that's somebody 60, 70, 80 years old driving, right, without the awareness and the caution that they can cause and someone could have been killed very easily. This trooper could have been killed very easily. But it talks about the efforts that Troop C goes through with education, with training, and the safety of not only the knowledge of what to do, but the vehicle itself.
Yes, sir.
Your vehicles are very well fortified to withstand being able
Yeah.
to deal with some of those things, right, Ross?
Yeah, I mean, look, it also shows that it can happen to anybody, right?
Yeah.
This was a trooper involved, and thankfully we were able to. I mean, yeah, there was a crash, but there stopped this impaired driver. But I think it also shows the fact that, we're here to protect the serve the community. So that trooper put himself in a harmful position of blocking the roadway to stop this person. And even if that meant getting hit head on by this drunk driver, then if that's what it took to stop this person from driving, that's what it took. So, and there was also other traffic too that was traveling at the same time behind the trooper. So again, we could have had a situation where you could have hit another innocent person as well in this situation. So I think it just shows, one, that we're out there doing the enforcement, but also that if we have to, we'll try to put our life on the line to prevent somebody else from getting injured.
Well, that's one of the things that we who are not in law enforcement respect so much about what you do every day, because you truly do that, putting your lives on the line and yourselves in the face of danger. This trooper clearly did that. We want to talk about that and a whole lot more, including back to school safety, when we come back. Thanks for sticking around with us. All right, guys, stick around as well. We have both of the state troopers staying with us to talk a whole lot more when we return on Bayou Time.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your health is our legacy. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights.
Hello and welcome back to this edition of Bayou Time. Again, your host, Keith Whiteside, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad you're joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it. And joining us, Trooper Tia, thank you again for being here. We appreciate it. And Sergeant Ross, thank you again. And, talking about all the things that Troop C does, one of those things that Troop C, along with all of law enforcement, is that we really need to stay focused at this second week in August so that we are aware and prepared for going back to school. Let's talk about some of those things that people need to be aware of.
Well, going back to school is that time again. We really just want to start from leaving the house. Whenever you're leaving the house, we want to make sure that all occupants in that vehicle are properly restrained. That's children, that's adults, front seat or back seat. For your younger children, up until the age of 2, it is recommended that they remain rear facing in the back seat until the height or the weight limit of their child seat is been met. Children under 13 should remain in the back seat until they are old enough and can properly put on the seatbelt in the front seat. When you're driving to school, you want to pay attention and look out and be vigilant for kids that's waiting for the school buses on the roadway, being aware that a school bus does make frequent stops, and to be patient with these school bus drivers. Leave early, give yourself enough time. You don't want to be rushing on the roadway trying to get back to school. When you reach certain school limits, certain school zones and those speed limits in those zones, you want to be sure to adhere to those those speed requirements there. Pay attention, look out for your crossing guards, because they are also looking out for the safety of the kids and making sure those school buses and parents dropping those kids off are getting there and getting it done safely. There are certain school zones that have signs posted, hands-free zone, that prohibits any and all drivers from using a cell phone in a school zone. And we just really want to minimize the distractions and remain alert while driving so that we can have a safe school year and traveling to and from school and work.
You know, it's almost like the idea of drinking and driving. It's like you can make a plan early. Like if the kids are starting school the next day, let's get some good rest, right?
Right.
You know, let's not.
Best that you can.
Yeah, you know, I mean, because, you know, kids are going to be excited, right, about school, hopefully. But if they're not, let's make sure that we're being the adults in the house and making sure we're going to bed early. It's one of those things. We had a gathering with my family on Sunday, and we got one starting a new school that week. The other one is a teacher going back to school for the second year. And so for both of them, for Sophia and for Sydney, we want to make sure that we're making a good plan, and we're not staying up late. We want to make sure everybody's getting good rest. Kind of prepare for that so they can actually do it before the morning of.
You can get your
ready.
clothes
You know,
out.
let's not be making lunches, you know, 5 minutes before you got to leave, and then you're rushing out the door, because being protective of our kids is not just in that school zone. It's wherever kids are, and they're all lined up on the streets everywhere,
Right.
getting picked up. So it's a really good point, but we can start that very early about doing that.
Yeah, and even talking about distractions, just recently in Louisiana, we had 2 instances where kids were left in the hot car during the day. So I understand they got a lot of stuff going on. You might be where a parent's at work, maybe another one's taking care of a kid, or maybe a grandparent, whatever it might be. Is we just recommend look before you lock. If you are maybe kind of out that routine, maybe having to transport this kid in the car seat, make sure that you do look in the back seat before you lock that car. Make sure that nobody's left in there, because we want to really prevent some of these tragedies from happening. It's absolutely horrible anytime, and it could have been prevented if somebody would have, you know, took a few more seconds just to be like, hey, let me check the back seat. Because I mean, kids, if it's a new child or you're taking care of a new kid for that day, it's kind of a change in routine. So a change in routine, you don't know what you're going to do, right? So it's just be extra cautious in those situations.
Right. And, you know, you got the little ones maybe potentially in that, like you said, up until age 2, they're rear facing, right? That's the safe way to do it, but they're also facing away from you, right? So we want to make sure that they're in the car seat. And for those of us who really have trouble with the heat, it's just incredibly hot.
It is.
And so it's even hotter than normal. The second summer in a row where we have these setting records for this outstanding heat. Again, look,
Look before you lock.
Look before you lock. Always make sure you do that. You know, again, one of those things that's so very important to being able to do that. And so, again, watching out for the kids and keeping them safe is so very important. We want everybody to have an excellent school year. We want to have any incidents, injuries, or tragedies at this time.
And even with the school buses on when you should stop and when you shouldn't stop, there's always debates with that. And so if it's like a 2-lane road, like 308 or LA1, of course, if the school bus is stopping, you have to stop. Or even if it's like a 2-lane road with a center turning lane, again, you have to stop in those situations, or even the 4-lane highway. But if there's a divided median, like a grass median or something like that, or even like, I don't know why somebody would be stopping on Martin Luther King, but for an example, kind of like Martin Luther King and that type of roadway, you wouldn't have to stop in those cases too. So again, just be cautious out there. You don't know what direction some of these kids are going to be coming out. And we really want to prevent tragedies. This happened before. Somebody go through a school bus that stopped and struck a kid. And again, it just takes all of us to be vigilant and be aware of what's going on and stuff like that to prevent some of these tragedies from happening.
Yeah, again, we need to take our time and slow down. And you mentioned Martin Luther King. It's a challenging roadway already. But if we've got buses on it, just be aware. Just be aware. And sometimes the kids don't really know what to do, right? I mean, we're talking about kids who can often be a little impetuous, you know, but also kids are excited, right? And excitable, especially at the end of the day when school's over, you know, because they're like, oh man, I can't believe I didn't get any homework today. I get to go play. And that's one of those things that they look forward to. And we've got to be aware of that. It's our job to be aware of that. Well, Ross, very excited for you, or Sergeant, I should say, and your new role and being able to do that. We're glad that you're going to be able to be around some, and we appreciate that. So thanks for taking care of things. And Tia, congratulations.
Thank you.
It's really exciting for you. Welcome back home. And so we're glad to have you representing Donaldsonville and Assumption, and make sure sure that you're representing us here in Troop C. So we're excited for you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, guys, that will do it for this particular segment of Bayou Time, but don't go anywhere. A whole lot more right here when we return.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough.